Imagine you have been given the power to redesign society from scratch. You can decide who gets the wealth, who gets the power, and who gets the opportunities. But there is a catch, a massive philosophical catch called the Veil of Ignorance. Proposed by the philosopher John Rawls in his 1971 masterpiece, A Theory of Justice, this thought experiment asks you to imagine yourself in a prior-to-birth state. Behind this veil, you know nothing about who you will be in the new world. You don't know your race, your gender, your level of intelligence, your physical health, or even your religious beliefs. You don't know if you'll be born into a billionaire family or a life of extreme poverty. If you had to design the rules of society without knowing where you would end up on the social ladder, what kind of world would you create? Rawls argues that you wouldn't choose a system that favors one group over another. You wouldn't choose a world where the rich have everything while the poor starve, because you might end up being one of those poor people. You wouldn't choose a world with strict religious laws, because you might end up belonging to a minority faith. Instead, Rawls suggests that any rational person behind the veil would choose two fundamental principles. The first is maximum liberty. Everyone should have the most freedom possible, as long as it doesn't interfere with the freedom of others. The second is the difference principle. Social and economic inequalities are only allowed if they benefit the least advantaged members of society. In other words, it's okay for a doctor to earn more than a janitor, but only because having highly skilled doctors makes the whole society, including the janitor, healthier and safer. This approach ensures that even the lowest position in society is one that you would be willing to accept if you had to. The veil of ignorance is a powerful tool because it strips away our natural biases. In the real world, we often support laws that benefit people like us. The wealthy want lower taxes. The talented want a pure meritocracy. But the veil forces us to look at the world through the eyes of the most vulnerable. It forces us to realize that much of our success is based on the natural lottery, the sheer luck of being born with certain talents or into a stable environment. If we applied the veil of ignorance to our modern world today, everything would change. Would we allow some schools to be underfunded if we didn't know which school our children would attend? Would we accept a healthcare system where quality care is a luxury, or would we insist that the baseline for everyone is high enough to be safe? Would our legal systems be as harsh if we knew we might be the ones standing in front of the judge without a high-priced lawyer? Critics argue that the veil is unrealistic because humans aren't purely rational, or that it ignores the importance of individual effort and risk-taking. But Rawls' point wasn't to create a perfect utopia. It was to provide a moral compass. It asks us to consider if our current world is truly fair, or if it's just built to favor those who were lucky enough to win the birth lottery. Next time you see an injustice or debate a political issue, try to step behind the veil. Ask yourself, would I agree to this rule if I didn't know who I was? Fairness, according to Rawls, is what we would agree to when we are at our most objective. If we truly want to build a better future, we must stop looking at the world from our own narrow perspective and start designing a world that is safe for everyone, regardless of where the dice of fate may land. In the end, a truly just society is one where you wouldn't mind being anyone, because everyone is treated with dignity.